All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Stephen Odell. I'm your friend in finance. Joining with me is my brother, Michael Odell. And we have started this new venture, if you will, talking about life's snooze button. We're going to be sharing with you our personal and our professional experience when it comes to seeing individuals, families, organizations, and businesses slapping the snooze button on their goals, their dreams, and their wishes. And we're going to talk about why we see that happening, how it's happened in our own life. And we want to know some areas that you might be hitting the snooze button in your life, because we want to help you and we want you to help us, right? We all want to grow together. And the most effective way to do that is to have authentic and thoughtful conversations. Michael, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good. What a good introduction, man. What's going on, everybody? Hope y'all are having a blessed day, blessed Saturday. Just super excited to get talking about this topic again. I got a lot out of just having that discussion with you, last week. We talked about, one of the things was just being aware. So like after having even just that discussion with you, I became more aware of areas in my life, right? Where I was hitting snooze. And one of those, man, was nutrition, was eating better. And I've been talking about it for a long time. And so now I started last week, and I've been on track and on target. So yeah, I'm just super excited to talk about that and just talk about, not hitting that button, man, in any area, just not hitting it.
Yeah, big or small. So many people, sometimes they procrastinate about cleaning their house, right? Mm-hmm. And then slowly but surely your house is a mess, and now you got hours of work in front of you, right? So many people, from big things to small things, for some reason, human beings, every single one of us has the ability to procrastinate, right? And to quite frankly, to be lazy sometimes, right? Whether it's with your family and things you want to accomplish within your family, things within your business, it's very difficult sometimes to get going, right? And so many people have so many great ideas. They have so many great visions. They're established enough to where they can accomplish some really cool things. And they're like, we'll do it later. I'll do it later. I got kids, or I got this. And that's exactly right. They're just slapping that snooze button the same way some people do in the morning. I'm guilty. You can ask my wife. I am guilty about that. And so, you talked about the little, something that could be little to someone else, someone who already eats right. That could be a big deal to you, though, right? So it also varies depending upon our uniqueness of what we're going to try to do to accomplish. So let's break this down. So you said that you've been snoozing on the nutrition. And here lately, you've gotten some motivation with starting a new nutrition plan.
Right. Yeah, man. So for the last few years, I've been working out, right? I love food. I love to eat. I've been working out, I do CrossFit, a lot. And I'm in shape, but I'm not losing any weight, right? Because I just like to eat. And then I think to myself, man, it sure would be nice to lose some weight. And that has literally been the conversation rolling on between this year and this year for 3 years, right? So for the last 3 years. And so finally, after having that conversation with you just last week, I was like, you know what, man, like it's time to start. So I had to solution it. I had to come up with why I wanted to do it, right? It can't just be, it would be fun, like, because it's not going to be fun to start eating healthy, and like it wasn't, right? But the more and more I do it, it becomes more and more attainable. So like just same thing with recovery, right? Just one day at a time, and you'll get into that rhythm. And so it's been super. I've been on it. I'm loving it right now.
Yeah, and it's weird too, like so many people have so much fear or resistance to starting something. First off, because they probably don't know where to start, right? Which we're going to be talking about that today. Some really good areas that you can start accomplishing or begin accomplishing your goals. And sometimes they underestimate how good it's actually going to make them feel. And when I talk to a lot of the young men and the young women that come into my program at Stages of Recovery, when they're early on in their process and their growing process and their healing process, one of the things I see most is as soon as they start getting some income coming in, they're buying all this random stuff, right? All this random stuff. And they do this because behaviorally and psychologically, it's making them feel better, right? When I try to get them to understand how much better they're going to feel with X amount of dollars in the bank instead of X amount of pair of shoes in your closet, right? And it's because they're not giving themselves enough time to actually experience what discipline can do, right? And they're looking for these short-term gratifications. It's the same thing with your eating, right? We want to feel better, so we go grab a snack late at night. It makes us feel better, and we're underestimating how good we're going to feel 6 months from now when we remove that type of food from our diet. That 6 months is going to feel way better than that Snickers you're eating at night, right? But psychologically, it's very difficult for us. You can't feel what the future is going to feel like. All you know is now, right? We know that right now, eating that unhealthy food is going to taste good. It's going to fill me up. And we can't predict how we're going to feel in the future, right? So the best thing that I've ever done is lean on others, which is one of the reasons we started this podcast. One of the reasons we're starting this YouTube channel is so that we can lean on each other and help one another. So once again, we're going to be talking about why do people hit the snooze button and how they can avoid it. So Michael, in your opinion, what's the best way that somebody can get started, whatever area they want to grow in? They've been lacking, they've been slacking, they're hitting the snooze button. How do they stop?
Yeah, great question. And if anybody's on listening, hey, share this video, like it, share it, like get it out there. We want this to reach as many people as possible. Stephen, that was a great question. For me, whether big goal, small goal, it doesn't matter, right? Because what's small to you is huge to someone else. What's huge to you is small to someone else. Like, don't ever compare your goals to someone else's goals or yourself to someone else's self, because as soon as you do, you're cutting yourself in half. You're taking away from who you truly are. You can model after somebody and look up to somebody, right? Role models, but don't compare, right? What your goals are yours. And they're yours because they're unique to you. They should be like what you want to do. And so it doesn't matter the size, the scope, what it is, does not matter. And the best way to get started, I would say, is to first find the reason why you want to do it, right? Are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for someone else? Right? Because oftentimes in my life, when I've set a goal for somebody else, thinking, oh, I should do that, but really it was for someone else. And just a great example is recovery, just cleaning my life up from the drug and alcohol addiction. Every time I've tried to do that for somebody else, and now that's a huge goal. Yeah, it's a huge goal.
Big.
But to do that for somebody else never worked. It never worked. And the facing the brutal facts is you can't do it for your family, your kids, your loved one. You got to do it for you.
The state of Texas.
Right. You can't do it for anybody but yourself. And so find the why and make sure that why is for you. Now it can be genuinely kicked off by someone else's idea. Someone else could mention it or say, hey, we should do this, right? That's great, but make sure that you're doing it for you. So that's the first thing, right? Find the why behind the goal that you want. Real estate, finances, nutrition, fitness, to be a good parent, right? You hear people all the time say, dude, I'm just not a good parent, or I'm just I'm not cut out to lead people, right? And
to be a better leader, to be a better coworker.
Right. So
like so many areas that affect us: work, family, relationships. Sometimes I find myself slacking in the friendship department. I'm like, dude, I've been working so hard and focusing so hard on my family and my business. I haven't even checked in on my friends. Right? Like so this balance, this overall balance that human beings have, and we have to deal with it. There's no way out of it. We're going to have to find balance in our life, finding out what's the most important and why, and then focusing on those areas, right? is absolutely huge. And I love what you said about like how, you know, sometimes we get faced with decisions where it's like, okay, I need to get better at this for this, and this, because my family might be a little better. It's like, hey man, that's great. But if you're not all in, and if you're not the one that's like, I'm going to do this regardless of how it affects other people, like for my sobriety, my recovery, I do this regardless, although it helped my family, it certainly strengthened my relationships with you guys.
Right.
That was more of a byproduct, right? That was more, if that didn't happen, I would still be sober. You see?
Yep.
Good things came from it. Obviously, some good things are going to come from that. But some things could be lost along the way. And some people are so fearful of the loss that they're hindering their own personal growth. Right? When we grow, the only way we do that is by getting uncomfortable. Right? And sometimes some people around us, we think that they're on our side, but they're not. Right? So sometimes you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people. And I've been in that position before where I was like, this person wants me to grow enough, but not too much. Right? Like you surround yourself with those people sometimes. And so it's about finding the right support system and identifying why you want to accomplish your goals. Right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. Establishing a goal or a desire, and then actually asking yourself why. So when you were in this process, how does somebody work through that?
So we talked about this. It's a great question, Stephen. We talked about this on the last episode just a little bit. We hit on it. Was the accountability piece, right? If everything that I want to do and I aspire to be like or achieve is all kept inside, I've got literally zero accountability except accountability to myself. And oftentimes we will find that we won't cheat on other people, right? Because we love them, we care for them. If we tell them we're going to do something, we'll do it, right? But we'll cheat on ourselves. We'll cheat on ourselves before we'll cheat on somebody else, right? And so becoming accountable, and it's not a bad thing, right? It might sound like, oh, I don't want to be accountable to that person. That's not what it is. It's having an accountability partner, right? Someone that can simply say, hey, did you read that article that you told me you were going to read last week so we can discuss it today about our business that we're going to start together, right? No, I didn't. And that the fact that I'm going to have to tell you no when you ask me that question is going to burn inside, and I'm going to get it done.
It's going to sting a little bit.
Right. I don't want you to ask me that question. Right. Just like having a nutrition coach. So I have a nutrition coach right now, and I don't want him to ask me why I chose to eat this instead of what he told me to eat. I don't want to have that conversation with him. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm just going to do what he told me to do. It's that simple. So becoming accountable to somebody. Becoming accountable to somebody, right? So mm-hmm. that's one. And then you gotta find where you want to be, right? You got to figure out where you're at, right? So there's where I want to be, where am I at, what, and don't just start anywhere. Find out, what do I got to do to go through this, right? Like, what's the process to start from where I'm at to where I want to be, right? Don't just pick something, right? You got to process that out before you can solution anything. You have to, what are the steps, right? When you get a new job somewhere, they probably will give you a checklist or a step-by-step instruction on what your job entails or what you need to do or how this works, right? You're going to have instruction, and that's how you get through it successfully.
Building a process. The most successful organizations I've seen, and one of the most important ways that stages of recovery became successful was having a process in place for everything, a growth process, a building process. And we didn't do it alone. It took countless hours of research, countless hours of trial and error. It takes so much, right? And we definitely didn't do it alone. And one of the things that I like that you said was that you have to identify where you're currently at. So let's break this out for a second, because this takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of honesty, right? It takes removing all those masks that you have on, because to understand where you're truly at is going to be humbling, right? Period. Because if you're not, if you're wanting to get to here, it means you're not there. And sometimes that can be very uncomfortable for some people, because self-doubt issues, self-worth issues, maybe their whole life, they've been told that they can't accomplish anything, right? And they've been beat down. Dude, life can beat us down. I mean, how many times have you been beat down and you thought, yeah, okay, I'm done? I mean, I can only imagine when you were out in the desert, in the war, right? Thinking, I'm just beat to shit. And then being in prison saying, oh my God, dude, I am so beat down, right? And life will do this to any of us, the good ones, the bad ones, because life is hard, right? And it's in these moments that we define who we're going to be. Is this circumstance going to define me, or am I going to define myself, right? And it's in those moments that our greatest achievements can happen. But it takes so much effort. It takes surrounding yourself with good people. It takes having a why. It takes all these things to be able to pull yourself out of a dark place, right? I've been in good places. I've been in dark places, up and down. I mean, life's an up and down roller coaster, right? But it's about being prepared for the ride. If we know that dark things are going to come, why are we not preparing? Why am I not surrounding myself with like-minded individuals that can pull me out of that darkness, right? I want those types of people around me, because I know it's going to happen. It's happened before, right? So if we know this is coming, and we know that accomplishing our goals is going to be difficult, we have to hit the go button, and we have to stop hitting the snooze button, period, right? And so my biggest encouragement and empowerment to somebody would be, when you're having to identify where you're at, like Michael was talking about, please remove the masks. Please remove your self-doubt, right? You are worth it, and your family's worth it. And getting honest with where you're at is going to be the first step in achieving all these things that we're talking about. And it's a hard, difficult process, but it's so valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So many people, myself included, struggle with fear, self-concept, a negative sense of self, right? Like, I'm not worth that, or I'm not worthy, or my family won't approve, whatever it is, right? There's that fear. And so when you start stripping off those layers, just remember, like, even if it is painful, it may not be. Some people can strip them off pretty easily, right? Some people are just free, and other people are not. And so you just have to remember that those are the things that aren't you, right? This is not me. This is not me. And so it may hurt, but you're digging down to the core of who you truly are. And then you can start to create that step-by-step process to where your true self wants to be, right? And I was reading a book, Robert Kiyosaki. It's called 8 Lessons, I believe 8 Lessons in Military Leadership. And something that he says in that book, it's always stuck with me. It says, when your internal discipline goes down, your external discipline will rise, meaning the universe is against you, right? Like, when you become less self-disciplined, right? Life is going to discipline you, right? We see it time and time again. Life will discipline you when you're not self-disciplined. But when your internal discipline goes up, right, and your alarm goes off, and you see, no, I'm not snoozing today, you just took a step towards raising that self-discipline. And when your self-discipline rises, the external forces that are coming against you will decrease. It's just a fact, bro. Like, for the last 3 years of my life, as I've become more disciplined, life has gotten way, way better
and easier. Even though hard things still happen, we are more prepared emotionally.
Yes.
This doesn't mean we're going to be dodging life's hardships. No. We get to go through life's hardships. It
Yes.
doesn't get to go through us, right? We're running that over. We're not getting ran over, right? And for so many years, I was just letting life run me over. Man, so many people call me and they're asking about, what am I going to do for their loved one, right? How am I going to help my loved one? And they have this expectation that because their loved one is now in recovery, that bad things are not going to happen. Okay. And this is so far from reality. Bad things, terrible things, loss, job loss, loss of loved ones, that self-worth doesn't magically appear. Okay.
Mhm.
It takes a massive amount of effort and action. And I tell them, this is what I tell them. I say, look, recovery doesn't prevent somebody from falling. It helps them get back up quicker when they do, right? So when life knocks them down, they don't stay down there and drown themselves in a bottle or drown themselves in bad behaviors. They don't do that anymore. They may have a mistake that's made. They may get tripped up a little bit, but they're not going to stay down too long. I get down sometimes, but I have way too much support around me. I have too good of a wife, too good of a family. I can't, dude, even if I wanted to stay down a little bit longer, I can't.
So what you're saying is your accountability is too
So
good.
high.
It's so high. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, right? Being accountable, having people around you like that is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, because like what happens when you become the source of someone else's joy, right? If you're the source of someone else's joy, what happens when you're having a bad day? Then they're having a worse day, right? But so it had, right, when you have that accountability around you, that umbrella of positive people, friends, family, wife, kids, loved ones, whatever it is, your social media friends, right? People that are watching this video, right? Hopefully, like, y'all are enjoying the content, and like that's fueling me, right? That fuels me and motivates me to continue to want to grow that accountability net, right? Like, here you go. Here's something. Hey guys, we're going to do this again within a week, right? There it is. Now I'm accountable to whoever's watching this video. It's that simple. And like, that's just motivating, right? Like, to hear you say that your support system or accountability is so great. When you are down, they'll bring you up and they'll let you recognize, like, hey, Steven, you're having an off day today. And then you can think, okay, why? Let me process this.
Yes. My first reaction is I'll get defensive for a split second, right? Naturally, I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? You're having an off day, right? Because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
But overall, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to recognize where I need to improve on and where I've been slacking, right? And then I'm right back to hitting the go button, right? Me and you creating this show was us hitting the go button, right? We talked about, how do we want to help people? How do we want to motivate people? So many other people have motivated us. Yes. How do we be that for somebody else? I want to be that. I'm about to go talk in like 30 minutes. I'm about to go talk to 20 plus people at a treatment center who are in, naturally, no disrespect, they're in a rough spot, obviously, right? Something has happened in their life where a drastic consequence has come about, okay? Although I like to call treatment an opportunity, not a consequence. That's how they're viewing it, right? And so I'm about to go in there and try to hype them up as much as I can, right? Because I just want to be useful today. I just want to be a vessel for God's will today, whether it's on a Zoom with my brother in front of 5 people, in front of 3,000 people. I just want to be useful the best that I can. And the more that I'm useful, the more good things that are going to happen to everybody around me, including myself, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm going to avoid bad days. It means that I'm going to get through bad days.
Yeah,
exactly. I love it.
You said something that just made me think about this. Like, you wanted to be a vessel, right, for the glory of God, right? So like, it brought me to the cup, half empty, half full, right? So like, I think, you know, everybody's familiar with that, right? Oh, the glass is half empty, the glass is half full. Right? I think something to remember to keep in mind, half full, half empty, whatever, it's refillable, right? The cup is refillable. It's a solid vessel, right? It's refillable. So it doesn't matter if you're 75%, 25%, 80%, 30%, 40%, you can still give 100% of where you're at. So if you're having an off day, you can still give 100% of where you're at, right? And that's how you fill the cup, right? The cup gets drained when you're at 80 and you give 20. But if you're at 80 and you give 100, the cup fills up, and like just
Every single time, man. It's a beautiful thing to help others, and people really underestimate what can happen when you start to give selflessly. The things that can happen in your life and in your family's life is incredible. And whether you guys are watching with us live right now, whether you're on our YouTube channel, Odell Ventures, go check out our YouTube channel. We're going to be uploading these videos. You might be listening on our podcast, on Stages of Recovery's podcast called Recovery Live. It doesn't matter. We just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in, for telling others about this. And we want your feedback. We want to know some areas that you're struggling in. If you're okay with talking to us about it, we want to help you, right? Currently, I'm struggling in the nutrition department, and so is Michael. He's already done something about it. So now I'm going to have to do something about it, right? And so that's what's going to happen. We're going to continue to push each other. We're going to continue to grow as a family and as a community. And we want you guys to be a part of it so much. So thanks again for everybody that's tuning in. We're going to be coming to you every week with some awesome content, with the overall topic always being how to stop hitting the snooze button on your life, on your goals, on your dreams. It's time to hit go, guys. It's time to hit the go button. What do you want to end off with, Michael?
Man, I think you did a fine job, brother. It's time to hit go. Y'all like, comment, share. Odell Ventures YouTube, subscribe to it. Send me a private message on Messenger. I'd love to chat with you about stuff. We could have an open dialogue and just figure out help you solution some stuff. Just send us a message. Y'all have a freaking blessed weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. We're going to see you next time. Stay tuned on our Instagram and our Facebook for when we're going to be going live and what we're going to be talking about, so you can stay caught up with all the latest and the greatest on not hitting life's snooze button. See you guys next time.